Hey, guys.
Hey, if you are watching us for the first time, go ahead and subscribe now.
Feel free.
And then join us every week.
That's a good idea.
Live from Washington, D.C., you are listening to Just John and April on the Lance J Radio Network.
Just between you and me, this is love. There's no tricks. Ooh, there's love.
Welcome to Just John and April, the relationship podcast, your place to level up your intimacy. Yes, we're excited today, as usual,
We are.
to be on the Lance J Radio Network. And I love what we're going to be talking about today.
I do too. I actually have fun with these topics in general. But lately, there have been a lot of different things that have been happening in the news that have been kind of generating some banter a little bit, and it's been fun.
Yes.
So something I
Yes,
saw
yes, yes.
just today that was bananas. I've never seen in my life.
Bananas.
Okay,
y'all.
so there was a baby that came out of the womb holding its
in its
mother's
hand.
IUD in its hand.
I'm talking about tightly holding.
Yes. And the look on his face was like, and what? You know what I'm saying?
The look on his face was like, what you think?
You thought this was going to hold me? You think this can hold me? An IUD in it. No, first of all, now some of y'all may not know what an IUD is. An IUD is a birth control device that they put up into, I don't know if it goes, I don't think it goes up in your uterus. I'm not exactly sure where exactly. Is it like right blocking like the uterus? It's supposed
Blocking?
to. I mean, it's supposed to keep the life-giving seed from going up there. Is basically what the point of it is.
Yeah, and that joker said, I'm going to hold this like it's a passy.
Yeah. I got this device in my hand, a little toy to come out with.
And that was not the only kid. It was several
So that's what was
pictures
crazy,
came
April.
up.
When I Googled it, because, our cousin told us about it, and we were like, you hear about that, baby? I was like, nah, that didn't happen. So I Googled it, and I couldn't believe it.
It was more than one.
Several of these kids. So does that mean that women probably shouldn't be using IUDs if they don't want kids? You know what I'm saying?
Listen, it just means that doctor didn't put it in right.
Or something. You know what I'm saying? So do you have a right to sue the doctor that put the IUD in if that happens?
I feel like you're wrong if you sue for having a baby.
Baby.
Because that's your child. Like, that, and you happy.
So you feel bad about that.
Like you've gone through the period of depression and all that. And you about to have a baby.
I actually think that's why God made it like 9 months, so that you'll have time to get over it by the time the baby is born.
You have the baby and you love this baby. You take the baby comes out, you holding the baby, you having these moments. And then you say, I'm a sue. Come on. No, you cannot sue.
Well, I think, here's my personal opinion. I doubt many husbands and wives would sue once the baby's born. I think they would sue while they're pregnant.
Now that's when you would probably
in the first trimester,
when it first happens.
when you still having morning sickness and you mad every day. That's when you'll sue.
Yeah, that's when you sue. That's what I'm saying. You ain't gonna sue after you have the baby.
Right, but you already know there's fine print about IUDs. It's gonna say something like, "We told you it wasn't 100%."
It's 99 point. Even if they say 99.999,
you wouldn't be able to win that suit anyway. Right,
you would at point.
That's a shame. Anyway, that joke was hilarious to me.
Yes.
And it kind of brought up a kind of a, we've had this recurring nightmare. It's funny because April and I have had this same nightmare that we had kids now.
Okay, let me tell y'all. I've had the nightmare and I'm actually crying in my sleep, like tears. And John's like, you all right, babe? Like, oh, I'm sorry, just had a nightmare. Literally, tears.
Can I ask you a quick question? Like, what about that? What about that prospect is so sad? What's so devastating about it? Because I have my reasons why I'd be devastated at this point to have a kid.
Okay, I want to know your reasons.
What's so devastating for you right now to even why are you crying in your dream?
It's like starting over. It's like
April.
like your life being taken from you again.
Yes.
Listen, I love my children. They're
wonderful.
wonderful.
I do too. Yeah.
But it was a lot of things we couldn't do anymore. It's a lot of who's gonna babysit the baby if you have to do something, or being up in the night, all in the night because the child wouldn't feed, or because the child got colic, or what I mean. And then you have to watch every step. You can't, So I mean, I literally, when we would go to people's houses with the kids, I literally did not eat You know, like when we're eating, going somewhere to eat dinner with a couple or a family or whatever.
You couldn't eat.
I couldn't eat.
Because you have to feed other kids.
You're not just feeding, but once you're done feeding them,
keep them out of the
you got to make sure they're not pulling the curtains down.
Yeah, right.
You know.
You're messing up the lamps. And, right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't really want to go through that again.
Yeah.
We went through that twice.
You know what it is for me? Yeah, we did go through it twice. That's true. First of all,
our kids, for me.
Our kids are 17 and about to be 15. And part of the reason I would be devastated is the fact that it feels like every stage of parenting has gotten better, and I'm enjoying every stage with our kids, and I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to having an empty nest before we're 50 and being able to just do whatever we want again.
We wild out.
We're going to wild out. Yeah, baby. Man. Yeah, we are. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be fun.
We're going to party hardy.
It almost feels like nope. You know what I'm saying? Like it's right there. You're just about to cross the finish line, and somebody tackles you at the one. Y'all like, oh, another baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
That's what's so devastating for me in that situation.
Yes.
And I don't think that's wrong. And I don't think that doesn't mean we don't love our kids. You know what I'm saying? We adore them.
Listen, I don't have to say that no more.
You're right.
I don't have to say that anymore.
Exactly.
I don't want any more children. Exactly. And not even that. Let's not even talk about watching them. Let's talk about having to feed them and buy food for them. We're talking about formula.
Right.
I didn't breastfeed long because I didn't have much.
Right.
And so I didn't breastfeed long, so you had the formula.
Right.
Then you got the baby food.
Right.
You decide you're gonna grind up the baby food yourself and all of that. I'm just saying. All of that, and it seemed like it takes forever.
But even the place we are now, where we have a son who has his permit but doesn't have his license yet, which, by the way, he's going to have it very soon. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is we still got to take him to practice, and pick him up late at night when we're trying to do a show or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Don't let me get into that.
There's a lot of stuff that you think about. Would start over from scratch.
And we're still controlled by our children. Our lives are controlled by our children's lives.
Yes,
because they have events, they have things.
Right. We don't have lives.
We don't have lives.
Right.
Our lives are surrounded by their schedule.
Yes.
So we have to plug in our little episodes to record
when we can.
Because usually
episodes here and
at
there.
9 p.m. we picking up somebody from practice.
Exactly.
So I'm saying to have to start now again and have a baby.
Right.
To have to go, okay, I can't just up and go 7 to drop off and 9 to pick up.
Right.
When you have something else, you in a meeting or you in something.
Yeah.
I got to take the baby with me or leave the baby with Julia. And then she's like, oh, Mom, I got something to do. I want to go to the mall. Whatever. I'm just saying, I think that would definitely be a huge disruption.
Yes, it would. Now, let me ask you this.
Even though the baby we would love the baby.
Yes, of course we would.
Be a blessing.
Okay, so we have some friends that this happened to where kids were older and then they had a surprise baby and they said they experienced two things. Number
one, the baby
was
holding the IUD.
and they experienced two things. They basically said, it was like, oh shoot, we got to start over now. But then they said, when they think about what life would be like without that child, I can't even imagine.
And that's going to happen.
Of course that would happen.
Of course.
So let me just ask you, what do you think life would be like for us? Like, do you think we would actually survive?
I just told you what life would be like.
Okay. You said you described events and having to start over. I want to know, do you think that would take a toll on our marriage? Do you think?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
I want to know what our mood would be like.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
So
like, how would we fight through to make it so that we could actually make it?
Yes, because I think about how it was when we first had kids. Mm-hmm. And I think about how we went through a period of, it was some hard times in there.
Yes.
As we were trying to adjust.
As we think back on our marriage, the hardest times, in my opinion, were complicated by having children. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, when I think back on the toughest times in our marriage, it was going through one thing and then you add to that the sleepless nights or, you know what I'm saying? Or having the second child. So now you have multiples that you have to, you know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, that's what made it kind of.
It did. And it does put a little something on the marriage, especially when you are both working or, you have other things on top of that.
But you don't think that now that we're older and now that we've been there, done that we would be better at it this time?
Yes. So that's what I was going to say. Even though I think, it's almost like PTSD. It's like,
You would immediately be like,
but then you say, wait a minute, I'm in a different stage. Uh-huh. I think, and we have kids that would help.
True.
Yeah,
Julia would be the babysitter all the time.
You automatically help. I don't care. You know, that's your sibling. You gonna help.
Yeah, John's
you know
about to go to college, so he'd be gone.
He'd be gone.
Julia would be here, doing everything.
Exactly.
Probably. Right.
So I think it would be a little bit different in that aspect, and that we would be, we wouldn't be like, oh no, what do we do? We know what to do. That baby flung around. We know exactly. It'd be quick. We know. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would make it easier. I think we would be better at that type of thing. I think it would make it so it wouldn't affect our relationship as much.
I agree with that.
It might bring us closer together this time.
It might. It might.
Leaning on each other even more.
It might. Now, here's the other thing. I think there are certain things that we know now we really didn't have to do the first time around, but because we were new parents, we didn't know. So like our cousin tonight was saying they're about to have a third child, and she was like, I'm not sure I'm washing everything first before I put it on the baby. You don't have to do that, but you did that every time before. You know what I'm saying? There was so many extra things we did as new parents that as OG parents we wouldn't even do.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't even stress yourself out with stuff like that.
I'm not even sure the stress would be as high.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
It wouldn't. I don't think it would be as high.
So you want to give it a go? You want to try?
Yeah, let's do that.
Whatever,
We'd have to go reverse yours.
You have to reverse my vasectomy. Exactly.
But,
Okay. Before we go to break, I need to ask you guys one thing.
Yeah.
You actually are a middle school teacher, and you have some parents who are older parents who had their kids what seems like might have been surprises.
Yeah.
What are those parents like? How is it dealing with them? Just in terms, I wonder, are they less engaged with their kids' work? Are they more engaged? Like that kind of stuff. What do you think it's like?
Yeah. So, I've had parents where it'd be like us. They had older siblings, and then they had an oops baby.
Okay.
Right. And then you have ones who remarried, and they, got
okay. So it's deliberate, but it's like, okay,
but
this is my
they still had grown kids.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Yes.
But what I noticed with all of them, every single one of them is that they're not raising their child.
Oh.
They're raising their grandchild.
Oh, man.
Yes.
So does that mean that the way that they relate to them is like a grandchild too?
Yes.
Like the way our parents relate to our kids, almost like hands off sometimes?
No. I wouldn't say hands off.
Okay.
I would say, so you either have and I don't see any of them hands off. They're actually way more.
Oh, they're even more helicopter parents.
Only because it's your grandbaby.
Okay.
With the grandchildren, you're going to really be, and it's going to be, baby. It's going to be, whatever you want. You don't do anything wrong.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Wow.
Taking up for way more, just a lot more. A lot more like, this is my baby. And they stay baby even when they're not a baby.
Okay.
Because that's the grandbaby. And I think a mind shift happens.
Really?
I do. I think a mind shift happens when you are at a certain age and you have a baby. And you've had kids. Okay. Now, I think it's different if you haven't had any and you have one at an older age. That's
okay.
Okay. But I would say that's a little bit different. But I would say that if you are older and you've had kids and your kids are grown out the house or even grown almost out the house, that next one's going to be your grandbaby.
So basically what you're saying is the mind shift that happened was, we're done. We ain't having no more. And then all of a sudden we have more.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh shoot.
Matter of fact, your next mindset is, I can't wait for my grandchildren. I can't wait for my children 5 years from now to get married and give me grandchildren.
Right.
And you have your own grandkid. So that's how you treat them. That's how you treat the child.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I see it every time.
That must be harder then. A little
every
harder
time.
to deal
So
with.
I don't want to have our own grandchildren.
Yeah, I don't either.
I want my children to have our grandchildren.
Okay, so when we come back from the break, I have a question I want to ask you about this thing that I'm calling it the parental age limit.
Oh.
Okay? I want to just ask you something about that when we come back. Okay?
You are listening to the Lance J Radio Network.
Paragon 7 Studios.
John and April back at you. Lance J Radio Network. And we're excited about this second part because I've got this question. Actually, it's funny because the person that comes to mind when I think of having grandchildren as children is Eddie Murphy.
He got a lot of kids, honey.
Eddie Murphy got 10 kids.
A lot of blessings.
Now, here's the funny thing. Because I had you look it up before the show. Eddie Murphy has 10 kids. And the oldest one, I think, is 32. His youngest kid is 3.
Three.
Not 3. 3.
3.
Okay.
Y'all.
3 years old.
3.
And he's 61.
Listen.
That's a grandchild. That's a grandchild.
More power to you.
Absolutely. No question about it.
You cannot help for that 3-year-old to be, that 3-year-old is definitely his grandchild.
Yes. And running the house.
I mean, you can't help it. It's
So here's what I want to know, though, because when I think of the reason why we only have 2 kids, there's a few reasons. But the biggest reason, if I'm being honest, is money.
It is.
Biggest reason is money.
It's money.
So I want to know, if you had money like Eddie Murphy, would you have more kids? And how many would it be? I'm pretty sure you don't want to have 10. Because that's all had to come through your womb.
That would be based on what my body would decide.
But let's say, let's make it 2 conditions. You have basically unlimited money, and you have a womb of steel. Okay, like your womb is like platinum. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have no problem just pushing them out. That ain't no big deal. Your life expectancy would not shorten by having more kids. Would you have more? And what do you think? What do you think is the ideal number of kids you would want to have for our family if we had the money to support them?
Wow. I think
I have a number, by the way.
I think I would have more.
Okay, you definitely would have more.
If I had the money.
Okay.
I think I would because I
probably should ask you what's the amount we need, but forget about that. We're not gonna do that. But anyway.
I feel like I would if I had help, you know. But I feel like I don't know because then it's like
because that's the other thing, right? You have the money, right? So we can get an au pair. You know, we can have a private chef. I mean, the things that are difficult about having a bunch of kids, you wouldn't have because you have the money. So that's not really a problem. Okay. And of course, your womb is womb of steel, so it's not an issue either. How many you want? You definitely want more. How many? 3? 4?
I think 4.
Okay.
I wanted 4 for a long time.
Okay.
Until I had 1.
Right. Then you were like,
and I was like,
I'm not sure I'm doing this again.
That's what I'm saying. It's like and then I had a second and I was like, I'm good. Like, I don't need no more. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's the money. You know what I mean?
It is for me.
I don't know if it would be the money, but I would say, you know, when I think about it, if I had the money, I'd be like, maybe I would. You know what I'm saying? And 4 would be my limit.
Okay, here's what I'd want. I want 5, and I want them all to be around 2 years apart. You know why?
Okay, why?
Because at some point, that could be my starting 5. I can have 5 kids. We could just be playing people in basketball. Like, I'm the coach, and there's my starting 5 right there. You know what I'm saying?
Babe.
And I would love to be an assortment of heights so that, you know, someone to be a point guard, one to be a shooting guard, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Aww. That's cute.
5 kids. Now, the problem is...
First, you got to get Julia to get out there. You know.
I'm thinking about the kids I have now. Clearly, John wouldn't have any issue, but Julia, yeah.
Exactly.
In fact, I would have to say the condition of being in this family is you have to be on the team. You know what I'm saying?
But see, you would have started them young.
I tried starting Julia young, but I was like...
you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No.
I would do little things with her in the house with basketball. I was like, she don't care about this at all.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay. And I didn't want to force our children to do anything.
Yeah.
And so when I saw early on that she was into, like, you know, dolls and stuff, and then when she got older, you know, it's drawing and painting, and it's okay.
Gymnastics.
Let's push her in that direction because that's what she likes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to make her do something.
That's true.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I just say 4 because I like the even number.
That is nice to have an even number. Yeah.
The
and there's no middle child
nice.
in that situation, too.
Exactly. There's no middle child. You got the even number, you know.
I think once you get to a certain point, you have a certain amount of kids, it probably needs to be like 2 for 1. You know what I'm saying? You don't because that many pregnancies is a lot. You know what I'm saying? It'd be nicer if at least one of those was twins. You know what I'm saying?
You know, yeah, that's true. But money has a lot to do with it too because they're expensive, and you got to send these jokers to school.
Exactly.
You know, you got.
That's very true.
You know, and you want them to be in all kinds of different
too.
things. You want them to be able to take sports and do these things. You have to pay for all that.
That's true. That costs money. Okay. So here's my question about what I call it parental age limit. Okay, so here's what I really want to know. Do you think there's an age limit on certain parental duties? In other words, when you see these parents that you have that are parents of your middle schoolers and they come and obviously treat them like grandkids, do you think that their age has something to do with like why they don't parent their kids the same? How come we don't parent our kids the exact same way when we're young and when we're older?
Yeah.
Do you think that's an age thing? Do you think there's certain things you're not... Yeah.
You are tired. Do you hear me?
Right.
Just like being a teacher.
I'm not even sure if it's just physically. I mean, it probably is emotionally tired.
No, it's mentally tired.
Yes.
You don't have the bandwidth anymore. Period. I'm telling you, that's what it is. And I think at a certain age, I'm not saying that people can't have kids older.
Right.
Nobody's saying that. But just know you're going to raise them like your grandchildren.
Right. Exactly.
Just know that.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just know you ain't going to feel like You know what I'm saying? Dealing with certain things, and you're going to give in to things that you wouldn't have given in earlier on.
So what you think young?
You saw that firsthand.
I did. But mine was different, right? So with my parents, I think the bandwidth to do the parental thing has less to do with age and more to do with time. And what I mean by that is, my parents had already raised me and my brother Paul. Mm-hmm. By the time my sister Claire was born, there was about almost 6 years between us. Mm-hmm. I was like 5.5 when Claire was born, right? I noticed our parents let her get away with a bunch of stuff they didn't let us get away with. So it almost feels like, you know that 1,000 hours thing that they say? It takes 1,000 hours to master something?
Yeah.
It feels like they got to their 1,000 hours between the two of us. And by the time Claire's born, like, I don't feel like doing this no more.
Right,
So it's like, now, Claire's not bad. You know what I'm saying? They still parented her. They still taught her and all that kind of stuff. But, she got away with junk we would never get away with.
It also could have been, I know how to deal with this much better than I did with them.
That could have been it.
That can be it.
You're right. It could have been just experience that was there. And they knew maybe I went too hard on John and Paul, and I don't need to go as hard on Claire.
Yes,
maybe that had more to do with it.
As deep as I thought it was.
Right.
You know?
Maybe that's it. And that's encouraging if that's it. But I don't think that's it.
No, you're right. I think after a while, it's like, I don't feel like it.
Right. Exactly.
And I think the older you are, the more, the further the kids are from each other, the more you're going to feel like, I don't feel like doing that.
Right.
And that this is my baby. And, I'm going to give the baby what they want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so
would you say then, because this is how I feel, I would say the hardest part of parenting feels like the need to be consistent. The hardest part is being more consistent about something than your kid is. It's like your kids are trying to wait you out, and what you have to do is stay in that. Say, I'm not moving from here,
right?
No matter how easy it is to. Because honestly, let's just think about it. Some of the punishments we do for our kids, they punished us more than they punished them.
Exactly. Like when you say you can't go to the sleepover. Now you got to be home with me.
Now you got to be home with me talking my ear off. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it a lot harder. You know what I'm saying? So the point is, when it really comes down to it, parenting is all about having the ability to wait your kid out and to say, I'm going to stay doing this. If I told you need to pick up your trash when you're finished eating, then every day after dinner, I got to call you back down from your room to go back to pick up that trash that you didn't clean up. And then at some point it clicks and your kid actually starts to pick it up without you telling them.
Grandparents do?
Grandparents is like, I'll just clean it up. I don't feel like doing that. That's what I'm saying. Right.
And they say they didn't mean to do that. Right. They didn't mean to leave it.
Or they're 5, or they're 7, or they're 10, or whatever it is. They're kids, whatever. Because it's easier.
Listen.
That's the hardest part of parenting.
It is being
and that
consistent.
seems like the part that you really don't have the bandwidth for when you get older.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I feel.
Right.
Is it, and why because I mean, honestly, I feel like if we had another one right now, there'd be a lot of things that I feel like I would not feel like doing over again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, because it takes work.
It does.
It takes work, and
It's
it takes
tough.
consistency, like you said. So
that makes the word of the day actually. It's a funny word of the day anyway.
It's hilarious to me.
Our word of the day today is.
Octogenarian.
Octogenarian.
Do
you guys know what that means? That's a person who is between 80 and 89 years old. Octogenarian.
And that has nothing to do with the subject.
It does, actually. It has a lot to do with it. You know why?
I know.
Because I actually think that with technology and the way things are, that at some point there's going to be in the news an 80-year-old pregnant woman.
It probably is already there.
And I'm going to be like, Lord have mercy. She's having her great-grandchild. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, well, there are some celebrity men out there.
Yes.
That have some very young children in their 80s.
Yeah, and that's because, they have enough money to marry young still. You know what I'm saying?
Octogenarians still have little kids.
Yes.
When you
is
have
hilarious.
a lot of money.
Yes.
You can. Is it only when you have a lot of money? That's when I see it. I mean, of course, you don't hear it because regular people aren't in the news. So.
Now, that's a different part of this that I didn't really think about. Mm-hmm. And that is, I wonder if we would have been willing to have kids older if it meant we didn't have to do certain things. If we could just pay people to do certain things, I wonder if that means, hey, let's have to try it again at 50. You know what I'm saying? Let's try it again at 60.
No.
You don't think so? Mm-mm. So for real, like if we didn't have to feed them, no, really. Like if we had an au pair who did everything.
But then you're not raising your child, really. You're not even being with your child.
But I'm saying we already
everything.
We already successfully raised a couple.
You're being a what do you call it? The people who had the kids for other folk.
Yeah, like a surrogate.
Yeah, you're being a surrogate.
Yeah,
that's all you're being.
What's wrong
No.
with that?
No, you don't need to be doing that at 50. Okay, you might die trying to be a surrogate.
That's hilarious, man.
But there are some octogenarians out there who have children.
Probably. We need to
that
look it
are very
up.
young.
We should let that be like the opening banter for the next show. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
but
man.
you know what? Children are a blessing, and they come from God. So if you get pregnant at 60, you know what I'm saying? If you have a
more
child,
power to you.
And you know, at 70 years old, you got a 3-year-old. You know, hey,
right?
You know, and you know what? Kids, keep you young.
They do definitely connect
they keep you young
to the young world. There's no question.
We know stuff that our friends who have little kids have no idea. They don't know what we're talking about because we have teenagers.
And they know stuff
that we don't know anymore.
Yes, that we don't know anymore.
About little kid shows that we were experts in.
We were. Handy Manny and you know what I'm saying?
Word
World and Word Girl.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
And when our kids go and leave and we're done with being able to be hip, we're going to be lames, bae.
That's not true. Because our grandkids, we're going to have a relationship with our grandkids. And
how early do you think that's going to come?
It's true. We are going to be lame. My bad. You're right. It's going to be a while
from now. Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time. We're excited about the topics we've been able to have. And so hopefully next week will be just as good.
These are some good combos.
That's true. All right, y'all.
All right, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.